my my mom was called in to speak to my teachers, and I was like 8 years old, and they said, so we have a little bit of a situation with your son. He walks in and in like the Spanish accent every morning greets us by saying "Hiya, Toots," and and Lucy, I'm home. And I just knew from a very early age that I was comfortable playing in other people's shoes. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and there was no discouraging me from doing that thing. And it was, I was going to get on Saturday Night Live. That was my destiny. That was my goal. It turns out I was just completely mistaken. But in auditioning for SNL, and there was a 3-year period where every year I would put together a tape and send it to the people at Saturday Night Live, and every year it would be the same thing. You're really talented, but you're not the kind of person that we're looking for. And it was very frustrating. But I finally, when I let go of that, that's got to be my destiny. That's it. That's it, or it's nothing. Things started to happen, interestingly, and I got to a point where I was ready to give it all up. And I called up my mom, and I said, so I've made a decision that I think will make you happy. I'm giving up not working, getting starving actor for law school. I'm expecting my Jewish mother to be like, oh, this is wonderful. Well, instead she starts crying. And she says that she's really disappointed that I would put so much effort and time and heart into my dream and give it up after 3 years, which in her eyes was nothing, which it really wasn't. And ironically, as fate would have it, that week I get a phone call that they would like to see me for this musical called the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I'm all like, oh my God, I have a chance to go on Broadway. And I find out that it's for the San Francisco tour. And the balls on me. I have no work, and yet I said no. It was ballsy. It was egotistical. It was egomaniacal, and stupid probably. But somehow I get wind from somebody that I went to school with who's a costume designer on the Broadway show that they are replacing the guy on Broadway, and that they thought that I was incredible, but they were really pissed at me that I had turned it down, and they thought I wasn't interested. And so I'm like, no, I am. And I had my manager call the casting director and say, look, I'd love to be seen come hell or high water. Please let me prove myself. And I'm at the airport on my way to South Florida to go visit my family for the holidays, and I get a phone call directly from Tara Rubin's office, who's the casting director on Spelling Bee. And she says, you still in New York? I said, why? She said, they want to see you tomorrow morning. The creative team wants to see you for Spelling Bee. And at 9 a.m. I auditioned for Spelling Bee. Then I was brought in for callbacks that night with one other guy, and the guy was a Broadway guy. He had a lot more on his resume than me, and he was in there for like 20 minutes, and I was like sweating up a storm, so nervous. They bring me in, and I literally do the scene in a minute, and the director brings me up, and he says, Josh, can I speak to you for a minute? And I said, okay. And he brings me up to the top of the theater seats, and there's like a line of 30 people. There's just like 30 creative team members sitting there waiting. And he says, I don't think you want this. And I said, excuse me? He goes, I don't think you really want this. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he says, well, you came in and you started joking around. And when I had walked in, I cracked a joke. And I said, well, I have one of two choices when I come in and 30 people are going to decide my destiny. He says, I can either break the ice and make a joke, or I can vomit all over you. And I chose the first. And we had this long discussion, and I walked out of there with my tail between my legs, and I knew I didn't get it, and I said to the other guy, congratulations. And I'm packing my bags, and I get a phone call from my manager saying, you have 2 tickets waiting for you to see Spelling Bee tonight. And I said, why? It was because the director wants you to see the show that you're going to take over for. And that was my big break.